The sun was setting over the city skyline as Raj Kumar stepped out of his modest sedan. He had purposely left his luxury cars at home today. After 20 years of building his tech empire from nothing, he occasionally liked to remind himself of simpler times. Dressed in comfortable jeans and a plain button-up shirt, he looked nothing like the billionaire CEO of RK Innovations that he was. The Grand Plaza Hotel stood tall and impressive against the darkening sky. Its gleaming glass facade reflected the city lights, promising luxury and comfort to those who could afford it. Raj had chosen this hotel not for its 5-star amenities but for its convenient location near tomorrow's business meeting. He grabbed his small overnight bag from the back seat and handed his keys to the valet, who barely glanced at him or his ordinary car. Raj smiled to himself. It was refreshing to be treated like an average person sometimes. As he walked into the grand lobby with its marble floors and crystal chandeliers, Raj felt a familiar sense of appreciation for beautiful architecture. Before becoming a tech mogul, he had studied design and still had a keen eye for it. The hotel's interior was impressive, classic elegance with modern touches. At the reception desk, a young man in a crisp uniform looked up briefly before returning to his computer. "Good evening, I have a reservation," Raj said politely. "Name?" the receptionist asked without making eye contact. "Raj Kumar." The receptionist typed something, then frowned slightly. "I don't see a reservation under that name." "That's strange. I made it myself this morning. Could you check again?" Raj pulled out his phone to find the confirmation email. The receptionist sighed impatiently, making a show of checking again. "No, sir. Nothing under Kumar." Raj showed him the confirmation email. "See? Room 512, for tonight." The young man barely glanced at the phone. "Our system shows no availability. The hotel is fully booked for a conference." Raj raised an eyebrow. "But I have a confirmation right here." "Must be a system error," the receptionist replied dismissively. His eyes drifted past Raj to the well-dressed couple who had just entered the lobby. "Perhaps you might be more comfortable at the Budget Inn down the street? It's more suitable." The implication was clear, and Raj felt a familiar sting. Despite his success, despite the billions in his bank account and the thousands of people his company employed, some still saw only the color of his skin. "Is your manager available?" Raj asked calmly. "The manager is very busy tonight with VIP guests," the receptionist replied, emphasizing the VIP while looking pointedly at Raj's casual attire. "As I said, we're fully booked. There's nothing I can do." Raj noticed the receptionist had already started smiling at the couple waiting behind him. He turned and saw them, immaculately dressed in designer clothes, the woman dripping with diamonds. The receptionist's entire demeanor had changed. "I'll wait," Raj said firmly. The receptionist's smile faltered. "Sir, there are other guests waiting." "And I'm still a guest with a confirmed reservation," Raj replied, his voice level but firm. Years of high-stakes business negotiations had taught him to stay calm when others would lose their temper. After 15 minutes of uncomfortable waiting, during which the receptionist helped 3 other guests, a woman in a tailored suit approached. "I'm Lisa Chen, the night manager. How can I help you?" Raj explained the situation, showing her his confirmation email. She glanced at it briefly. "I apologize for the confusion, but we are indeed fully booked. Perhaps there was an error in our booking system." "That's interesting," Raj said thoughtfully. "Because when I called to confirm my reservation just 3 hours ago, your staff assured me everything was in order." Lisa's professional smile didn't waver. "Again, I apologize for the inconvenience. We can certainly help you find accommodation elsewhere." Raj looked around the lobby. He noticed 2 things: the receptionist was now checking in the well-dressed couple, and on the wall behind the reception desk hung a photograph of a middle-aged white man labeled Richard Wilson, owner and CEO, Wilson Hospitality Group. Ms. Chen, may I ask who oversees your booking system? Raj asked. That would be our corporate office, she replied, clearly wanting to end the conversation. Raj nodded thoughtfully. And does Mr. Wilson know that his hotels discriminate against potential guests? Lisa's smile froze. Sir, that's not what's happening here. We simply don't have a room for someone who looks like me. Raj finished. He wasn't angry, he was disappointed. In 2023, he still faced these subtle barriers, these small indignities that reminded him he would always be seen as different by some. That's a serious accusation, Lisa said, her voice lowered. I assure you, the Grand Plaza values all guests. Actions speak louder than words, Ms. Chen. Raj pulled out his business card, simple, elegant, with just his name and the logo of RK Innovations. I'd like Mr. Wilson to call me tomorrow. Lisa took the card, her eyes widening slightly as recognition dawned. RK Innovations was a household name, a tech giant valued at over $80 billion. Mr. Kumar, It's late, and as you've made clear, there's no room for me here tonight. I'll find accommodation elsewhere. His voice remained calm, dignified. But I would appreciate that call tomorrow. As Raj turned to leave, he heard Lisa urgently speaking to someone on the phone. He didn't look back. He had faced this kind of treatment before, less now than in his early days, but it still happened. Usually, he let it go. Life was too short, and he had learned to pick his battles. But something about this incident bothered him more than usual. Perhaps it was fatigue from his recent travels, or perhaps it was remembering how his parents had faced much worse when they first immigrated, working multiple jobs to give him opportunities. Outside, the valet quickly brought his car, probably eager to be rid of the problem guest. As Raj drove away, he made a phone call. David? Sorry to bother you at this hour. Could you send me everything we have on Wilson Hospitality Group? Yes, the hotel chain. And contact our investment team. I want to know their financial position, stock performance, debt load, everything. He paused at a red light. Also, set up a meeting with our legal team for 7 a.m. tomorrow. The light turned green, and Raj drove on, his mind already formulating a plan. This wasn't about revenge. It was about sending a message. In his 2 decades as a business leader, he had learned that real change sometimes required bold moves. He found another hotel for the night, a smaller boutique place where the staff was professional and courteous. As he settled into his room, his phone buzzed with messages from David, his chief of staff, sending the preliminary information he'd requested. Raj stayed up late, reviewing documents, making calls to financial contacts in different time zones, and drafting an offer. By the time he finally went to sleep, he had the beginnings of a plan that would shock the business world, and teach one hotel chain a valuable lesson about judging people by their appearance. Dawn broke over the city as Raj finished his morning tea. He'd been up since 5 a.m., refining his strategy. His phone buzzed with a message from David, legal team ready in the conference room. At exactly 7 a.m., Raj walked into the meeting with his trusted legal advisors. The room fell silent as he entered. Good morning, everyone, Raj said, sliding a folder across the table. We're moving quickly on this, so I'll get straight to the point. Wilson Hospitality Group is in financial trouble. His lead attorney, Priya, opened the folder and raised her eyebrows. Significant debt, falling stock prices, and 3 failed expansion attempts in the last year. They're vulnerable. Precisely, Raj nodded. Their board meeting is scheduled for next week, but we don't have that kind of time. I want to make an offer today. Another attorney spoke up. The numbers look good, but their CEO, Richard Wilson, is known for his pride. He's rejected buyout offers before, even when it made financial sense. Raj smiled slightly. Pride comes before a fall. When we offer 20% above market value for a struggling company, the board won't give him a choice. The meeting continued for an hour as they hammered out details. By 8:30, Raj was on his way to his scheduled business meeting, the real reason he'd come to town in the first place. But his mind kept drifting back to the Grand Plaza and the dismissive look on the receptionist's face. Around noon, Raj's phone rang. An unfamiliar number. Raj Kumar speaking. Mr. Kumar, this is Richard Wilson. The voice sounded tense, controlled. I understand you had some trouble at one of my hotels last night. Mr. Wilson, thank you for calling, Raj replied calmly. Yes, there was an unfortunate incident. My night manager explained there was a booking error. I apologize for the inconvenience. Raj walked to the window of the meeting room where he'd been working. We both know it wasn't a booking error, Mr. Wilson. A pause. Mr. Kumar, I assure you the Grand Plaza doesn't discriminate against. I was turned away while others were welcomed, Raj interrupted. It's not the first time something like this has happened, but I'm in a position to ensure it doesn't happen again. At least not at the Grand Plaza. What exactly does that mean? Wilson's voice had an edge now. It means I've just sent an offer to your board of directors to purchase Wilson Hospitality Group. Silence. That's absurd, Wilson finally said. We're not for sale. Your company's debt has increased by 40% in the last year alone. Your stock has fallen 23%. 3 major investors have reduced their positions, Raj stated matter-of-factly. You're not just for sale, Mr. Wilson. You're a bargain. This is because you couldn't get a hotel room? Wilson's voice rose. This is ridiculous. No, Mr. Wilson. This is business, Raj replied. Your hotel showed me who they really are when they thought I was nobody. I'm simply responding in kind. Raj ended the call and turned to David, who had been waiting patiently. The board has received our offer, David said. Their CFO has already called twice. Raj nodded. And the Grand Plaza? We've reserved the presidential suite for tonight, David smiled. In your name. Perfect, Raj said, returning to his laptop. Now we wait. The afternoon passed in a flurry of activity. Raj's phone buzzed constantly with updates from his team. By 4 p.m., news of the potential acquisition had leaked to financial blogs. Wilson Hospitality Group's stock jumped 15% on the rumors alone. Their board wants an emergency meeting, David reported, walking into Raj's temporary office. Tomorrow morning. Raj nodded, unsurprised. And Richard Wilson? He's been calling major shareholders all afternoon, trying to block the sale. But with the premium we're offering. David trailed off with a small smile. Money talks, Raj finished the thought. He closed his laptop and stood up. Time to check into our hotel. The sun was setting again as Raj's car pulled up to the Grand Plaza, but this time, it was his sleek, custom Bentley. The same valet from yesterday rushed forward, his eyes widening at the luxury vehicle. Raj handed him the keys. Take good care of it. The valet nodded eagerly. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. Walking into the lobby felt different today. Raj wore one of his hand-tailored suits, his wrist adorned with a watch worth more than some employees' yearly salaries. It wasn't his usual style to flaunt his wealth, but today called for it. The lobby bustled with activity. Raj spotted Lisa Chen, the night manager from yesterday, speaking with a man in an expensive suit, likely a hotel executive rushed in to handle the situation. Lisa saw him first. The color drained from her face. Mr. Kumar, she said, hurrying over. We've been expecting you. The man followed quickly. Mr. Kumar, I'm Thomas Blackwood, Regional Director for Wilson Hospitality. We're honored to have you staying with us tonight. Raj shook the offered hand. Thank you. I believe you have a room for me tonight? The presidential suite, of course, Thomas said, smiling too broadly. If there's anything at all you need during your stay, please don't hesitate to ask. Raj glanced toward the reception desk. The young man who had turned him away yesterday was there, watching nervously. Actually, I'd like to check in normally, Raj said. Through reception. Thomas and Lisa exchanged glances. Of course, Thomas said. Alan will check you in right away. The three of them walked to the reception desk. The young receptionist, Alan, looked terrified. Good evening, Raj said calmly. I have a reservation. Alan's hands trembled slightly as he typed. Yes, Mr. Kumar. The presidential suite. We're very sorry about the confusion yesterday. Are you? Raj asked quietly. Alan looked up, his face flushed. Sir, You had no trouble finding my reservation today. Interesting. Raj's voice remained gentle but firm. The difference being, today you know who I am. The lobby had grown quiet. Other guests were watching the exchange. I apologize, sir, Alan whispered. Raj accepted his key card. Thank you, Alan. I hope we both learned something yesterday. As Raj walked toward the elevator, Thomas quickly joined him. Mr. Kumar, I want to personally assure you that Alan's behavior doesn't reflect our company values. He'll be disciplined immediately. Raj stopped. Actually, I'd prefer he wasn't. Thomas looked confused. But, sir, his behavior was unacceptable. Yes, it was, Raj agreed. But firing him won't solve the problem. The problem is systemic. It's in your training, your corporate culture, your hiring practices. The elevator doors opened. Mr. Blackwood, pending tomorrow's board meeting, I may own this hotel chain by the end of the week. And I don't plan to fix problems by firing receptionists. Raj stepped into the elevator, leaving Thomas speechless in the lobby. The presidential suite was opulent, all crystal and gold, with panoramic city views. Raj walked to the window, watching the city lights flicker on as darkness fell. His phone buzzed with a message from his chief financial officer, Wilson board expected to accept offer. Voting tomorrow. Later that evening, Raj ordered room service. He was curious to see how the hotel's kitchen performed and whether the staff's behavior had changed. His meal arrived promptly, delivered by a young woman who couldn't stop smiling nervously. Is there anything else you need, Mr. Kumar? She asked, placing the silver tray on the dining table. This looks perfect, thank you. Raj noticed her name tag. Anita, how long have you worked at the Grand Plaza? She seemed surprised at the personal question. 3 years, sir. Do you enjoy it? She hesitated, then answered carefully. Most days, yes. The benefits are good. Raj nodded. And how does management treat the staff? She looked uncomfortable. Please, speak freely. Nothing you say will affect your job. After a moment, Anita spoke softly. It depends who you are, sir. Some people get treated better than others. I understand, Raj said. Thank you for your honesty. After she left, Raj's phone rang. It was Richard Wilson. You've made your point, Kumar, Wilson said without preamble. Name your price to walk away. Raj took a bite of his perfectly cooked steak. I'm not interested in selling, Mr. Wilson. I'm interested in buying. This is personal. We both know it. On the contrary, Raj replied. This is business. Your company is undervalued and poorly managed. I see potential where you've created problems. You don't know anything about the hotel business. I know about people, Raj said. And successful businesses understand that everyone deserves respect, guests and employees alike. Wilson scoffed. Don't pretend this is some moral crusade. You're just another shark who smelled blood in the water. Perhaps, Raj admitted. But unlike you, I never forget what it's like to be turned away at the door. After hanging up, Raj received another call, this time from Priya, his attorney. Wilson's trying to organize a counteroffer, she reported. He's approaching investment firms for backing. Will he succeed? Unlikely. Your offer is already generous, and his company's fundamentals are weak. Most investors see this as a rescue, not a hostile takeover. Raj considered this. Have we received the employee records I requested? Just came in. The turnover rate is alarming, 38% annually, mostly among minority staff. Exit interviews cite cultural issues and unfair advancement opportunities. This confirmed what Raj had suspected. The discrimination he'd faced wasn't an isolated incident, it was ingrained in the company culture. Send the full report to the board members, Raj instructed. Make sure they understand what they're really selling. The next morning, Raj woke early and worked out in the hotel's fitness center. A few guests recognized him, his photo had appeared in financial news coverage about the potential acquisition. He nodded politely but kept to himself. Back in his suite, David arrived with coffee and updates. The board meeting starts in 1 hour, he reported. Our team is prepared with full documentation and the finalized offer. Any surprises overnight? Wilson made some calls to delay the vote, but the chairman refused. They're proceeding as scheduled. Raj straightened his tie, checking his reflection in the mirror. Has our research team completed the employee survey? Yes. Results are troubling but consistent with our suspicions. Discrimination isn't just happening to guests, it's systematic throughout their operations. Then we have work to do, Raj said, picking up his briefcase. Let's go by a hotel chain. As they walked through the lobby, Raj noticed Alan at the reception desk. The young man looked down quickly, avoiding eye contact. Lisa Chen stood nearby, watching anxiously. The atmosphere was tense, everyone seemed to know that the hotel's future hung in the balance. The Wilson Hospitality Group headquarters occupied the top 3 floors of a downtown skyscraper. Raj and his team arrived 15 minutes before the scheduled board meeting. The receptionist, clearly briefed on their arrival, immediately escorted them to a waiting area outside the main boardroom. Through the glass walls, Raj could see Richard Wilson gesturing animatedly to a group of serious-faced men and women in business attire. Wilson's face was flushed, his tie slightly askew, the look of a man fighting for his company's future. He's making his last stand, David murmured. Raj nodded. I'd do the same in his position. A distinguished-looking woman emerged from the boardroom. Mr. Kumar? I'm Vivian Taylor, chairperson of the board. We're ready for you now. As Raj entered, conversations hushed. Richard Wilson stared at him with undisguised hostility. Thank you for accommodating this meeting on short notice, Raj began, taking the seat offered to him. His team arranged themselves behind him, opening laptops and distributing documents. Your offer was compelling enough to warrant immediate attention, Vivian replied carefully. For the next 30 minutes, Raj's team presented their offer in detail, the financials, the transition plan, the retention strategies for key personnel. Richard Wilson interrupted several times with objections, but each was calmly addressed with facts and figures. This is still my company, Wilson finally snapped. My father built it from nothing. Our name is on the building. The room fell silent. Vivian Taylor cleared her throat. Richard, we understand your concerns, but the board has a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders. And I have a responsibility to my father's legacy. Wilson's voice rose. This man is only doing this because of some perceived slight at one of our hotels. Ask him. All eyes turned to Raj. Is that true, Mr. Kumar? Vivian asked. Is this personal? Raj considered his answer carefully. I encountered discrimination at the Grand Plaza. That's a fact, not a perception. But that experience simply brought my attention to a company with significant problems, and even more significant potential. He opened a folder and slid it toward the center of the table. Your company's internal reports show a pattern of discrimination in hiring, promotion, and guest relations. Your employee turnover is nearly double the industry average, with exit interviews citing hostile work environments. These aren't just moral failures, they're business liabilities. Board members passed the documents among themselves, expressions growing more concerned with each page. Mr. Wilson claims I don't understand the hotel business, Raj continued. Perhaps. But I understand that treating people with dignity isn't just the right thing to do, it's profitable. Happy employees create happy guests. Diverse teams make better decisions. Inclusive policies expand your customer base. Raj stood, buttoning his jacket. I'm not here to destroy Wilson Hospitality Group. I'm here to transform it into what it should have been all along. The silence that followed was broken by Vivian. The board will now vote on the acquisition offer. This is absurd. Wilson protested. I need more time to secure counterfinancing. You've had time, Richard, Vivian said firmly. And your efforts have been unsuccessful. Raj and his team were asked to step outside during the vote. In the waiting area, David checked his phone constantly for updates from their sources inside the company. How are you feeling? Priya asked Raj quietly. Calm, he replied. Whatever happens, we've made our point. 20 minutes later, Vivian Taylor opened the boardroom door. Her expression was neutral, professional. Mr. Kumar, the board has reached a decision. The board has voted to accept your offer, Vivian announced. Subject to standard regulatory approval, Wilson Hospitality Group will be acquired by RK Innovations. A mixture of emotions crossed Raj's face, satisfaction, but not triumph. This wasn't about winning, it was about change. Thank you, he said simply. I assure you, this decision will benefit your shareholders, employees, and guests. From inside the boardroom came the sound of something crashing. Richard Wilson had swept a stack of documents off the table. You'll regret this, he shouted, his voice carrying through the glass walls. All of you. Vivian winced. Richard has been asked to take a temporary leave while we handle the transition. I hope you understand it's emotional for him. Raj nodded. Of course. His father built this company. Change is never easy. Speaking of change, Vivian continued, leading Raj and his team back into the boardroom, the board would like to hear your immediate plans. The next hour was spent outlining transition strategies. Raj's team had been thorough, they had plans for everything from rebranding to staff training programs focused on diversity and inclusion. We'll retain most of the current staff, Raj explained. The problem isn't with your people, it's with the culture they've been operating in. When the meeting concluded, Raj and David walked out into the bright afternoon sunshine. Congratulations, boss, David said. You now own a hotel chain. Raj smiled slightly. Now comes the hard part, fixing it. Back at the Grand Plaza, word had already spread. As Raj entered the lobby, he noticed the staff watching him with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Lisa Chen approached immediately. Mr. Kumar, we've just heard the news. Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Chen. I'd like to speak with your staff, if possible. 20 minutes later, the hotel's employees gathered in the ballroom, from housekeepers to kitchen staff, valets to managers. Many looked nervous, whispering among themselves about job security. Raj stood before them, without notes or prepared remarks. "Good afternoon," he began. "As you may have heard, Wilson Hospitality Group has been acquired by my company. I know change can be frightening, but I want to assure you that my goal is not to cut jobs but to create a better workplace for all of you." He paced slowly across the front of the room. "2 days ago, I was turned away from this hotel because of how I looked. It was hurtful, but not surprising. I've faced such treatment many times in my life." The room was silent now, all eyes on him. "But here's what I believe, that moment wasn't just a failure of one employee. It was a failure of leadership, of training, of company culture. And starting today, we're going to fix that." Raj noticed Alan, the receptionist, standing near the back, looking at the floor. "I don't want anyone to lose their job over what happened. Instead, I want everyone to learn from it. This company will now stand for something different. We will treat every guest, and every employee, with respect, regardless of their appearance, background, or wealth." He looked around the room, making eye contact with as many people as possible. "Some of you may be wondering why a tech CEO would want to own hotels. The answer is simple: at their core, both industries are about the same thing: people. Technology connects people. Hotels welcome them. Both require understanding human needs and treating people with dignity." Raj smiled. "I learned that lesson the hard way. And now, together, we're going to make sure everyone who walks through our doors feels welcomed, respected, and valued." The tension in the room began to ease, replaced with cautious optimism. After addressing the staff, Raj spent the rest of the day meeting with department heads. He wanted to understand the hotel's operations from the inside out before making major changes. Most managers were defensive at first, but his genuine interest and lack of blame gradually put them at ease. By evening, Raj had moved from the presidential suite to a standard room. He wanted to experience the hotel as an ordinary guest would. The staff was confused by his request, but he insisted. "Sir, are you sure?" the front desk manager asked, bewildered. "The presidential suite is much more comfortable." "I'm sure," Raj replied. "I need to understand every aspect of this hotel, not just the luxury experience." The standard room was clean but showed signs of wear: scuffed furniture, dated decor, a bathroom that functioned but needed updating. Raj made notes on his tablet, already envisioning improvements. A knock at his door surprised him. It was Alan, the receptionist, who had turned him away. "Mr. Kumar," Alan said nervously. "I know you're busy, but I wanted to speak with you personally." Raj invited him in. Alan remained standing, hands clasped in front of him. "I want to apologize for how I treated you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "There's no excuse for it." Raj studied the young man. "Why did you do it?" Alan looked down. "Honestly? Management pressured us to prioritize certain types of guests. They never said it directly, but the message was clear. Guests who looked wealthy or, well, not like you did that first night, they got better treatment. And you followed those unwritten rules." "Yes, sir. I was afraid of losing my job if I didn't." Alan finally looked up. "But that doesn't make it right." Raj nodded. "No, it doesn't. But recognizing that is the first step toward change." "Will you be firing me?" Alan asked bluntly. "Do you want to be fired?" The question caught Alan off guard. "No, sir. I need this job." "Then no, I won't fire you," Raj said. "But I will expect you to be part of the solution. Starting tomorrow, you'll join our new guest relations training team. You understand the problem firsthand, now help us fix it." Relief washed over Alan's face. "Thank you. I won't let you down." After Alan left, Raj ordered room service again, this time as an anonymous guest in a standard room. The food took twice as long to arrive as it had in the presidential suite, and arrived lukewarm. Another note for his growing list of improvements. That night, as Raj reviewed the day's events, David called with an update. Richard Wilson gave an interview to the business press, David reported. He's claiming you manipulated the board and exploited a temporary market downturn. Raj wasn't surprised. And the board's response? They issued a statement supporting the sale. Wilson's on his own now. He's angry, Raj said thoughtfully. I understand that. His family built this company. Are you worried he'll cause problems? Raj looked out the window at the city lights. No. The past is done. We're focused on the future now. The next week flew by in a whirlwind of activity. Raj extended his stay at the Grand Plaza, working from early morning until late night. News of the acquisition had spread widely, with business analysts debating his motives and strategy. Some praised the move as brilliant, others questioned why a tech billionaire would venture into hospitality. Raj ignored the speculation and focused on action. On day 3, he gathered the entire staff again. Starting today, we're implementing changes, he announced. First, a new compensation structure. Everyone gets a 10% raise, effective immediately. Surprised murmurs rippled through the crowd. Second, we're establishing an anonymous reporting system for any instances of discrimination, against guests or staff. Third, all employees will receive shares in the company as part of their benefits package. The murmurs turned to shocked whispers. You aren't just workers here, Raj explained. You're stakeholders in our success. When the company does well, you should benefit too. After the announcement, Lisa Chen approached him. Mr. Kumar, these changes are unprecedented in this industry. Sometimes unprecedented is exactly what's needed, he replied. How are the staff taking it? They're shocked. Happy, but shocked. She hesitated. Some are suspicious, waiting for the catch. Raj nodded. Trust takes time. We'll earn it. On day 5, Richard Wilson requested a meeting. They met in the hotel restaurant over lunch. You've made your point, Wilson said immediately. Name your price to sell the company back to me. Raj sipped his water. It's not for sale. This is a game to you, Wilson accused. A rich man's revenge fantasy. No, Richard. Raj's voice was quiet but firm. This is about transformation. Your hotels have potential you never realized because you were too focused on certain types of guests while ignoring others. My father built this company to cater to discerning clientele. And now it will cater to all clients, discerningly, Raj countered. Our revenue projections show a 30% increase within 2 years following our new approach. Wilson scoffed. Impossible. Not at all. There's an untapped market of travelers who've felt unwelcome in luxury spaces. We're going to welcome them, and keep your traditional clients happy too. After Wilson left, David joined Raj at the table. How did it go? As expected. He'll come around eventually. By the end of the week, Raj had implemented the first phase of his plan. New training programs were scheduled. Renovation budgets were approved. Marketing materials were being redesigned to show diverse guests enjoying the hotels. On his final evening at the Grand Plaza, Raj found a handwritten note slipped under his door. Mr. Kumar, when you first arrived, I didn't see a person, I saw a stereotype. I've learned more in 1 week with you as owner than in 3 years working here. Thank you for the second chance. Alan. Raj smiled as he packed his bags. Tomorrow he would return to his tech company headquarters, leaving a team in place to continue the hotel transformation. But he knew he'd be back regularly. The Grand Plaza had changed him as much as he was changing it. 1 year later, Raj stood in the lobby of the Grand Plaza, watching guests check in. The space had been renovated, warmer colors, more comfortable seating, artwork from diverse artists adorning the walls. But the biggest change wasn't visible in the decor. Lisa Chen, now the hotel's general manager, approached with a tablet. "Our quarterly numbers, Mr. Kumar." Raj scrolled through the report. Occupancy rates up 22%. Customer satisfaction scores at an all-time high. Employee retention improved by 40%. "Impressive," he said. "How's the staff feeling?" "See for yourself," Lisa replied, gesturing toward the reception desk. Alan was checking in a family, parents in casual clothes with 2 excited children. Last year, they might have been directed to a budget hotel. Today, Alan was all smiles, offering the children welcome packages and suggesting family-friendly activities. Nearby, a group of international business travelers chatted with another receptionist. A couple celebrating their anniversary received champagne from a smiling attendant. The lobby buzzed with diverse guests, all receiving the same attentive service. "We've come a long way," Lisa said proudly. Raj nodded. "And the other properties?" "Similar results across all hotels. The rebranding to Plaza Worldwide has been well received." As they spoke, Raj noticed a familiar figure entering the lobby, Richard Wilson. The former owner paused, taking in the changes, then approached. "I didn't expect to see you here," Raj said, extending his hand. Wilson hesitated before shaking it. "Curiosity. Wanted to see what you've done with the place. What do you think?" Wilson looked around, his expression unreadable. "It's different. Busier than I remember." 30% higher occupancy, Raj noted. "So I've heard." Wilson's tone softened slightly. "The industry's talking about your approach. Some of my friends have even started implementing similar changes at their properties." Raj smiled. Progress happens in unexpected ways. After Wilson left, Raj completed his tour of the hotel. In the employee break room, he found a celebration underway, a retirement party for one of the veteran housekeepers. "Mr. Kumar," the woman exclaimed when she saw him. "I didn't know you were visiting today. I couldn't miss your retirement, Maria. 30 years of service deserves recognition." As cake was distributed, Raj noticed photographs on the break room wall, staff outings, holiday parties, volunteer events. This hadn't existed a year ago. That evening, Raj had dinner in the hotel restaurant with David and Priya. "Did you ever imagine we'd be in the hotel business?" Priya asked. Raj shook his head. "Never. But sometimes life takes unexpected turns." "Speaking of which," David said, "that incident made Forbes. From rejected guest to industry reformer, how Raj Kumar is transforming hospitality." Raj laughed. "Let's hope the headline inspires other industries." As they finished dinner, Alan approached their table. He now supervised guest relations training across all properties. "Mr. Kumar, I just wanted to say thank you again. You changed not just this hotel, but all our lives." Raj stood and shook his hand. "No, Alan. We changed it together. One person can buy a building, but it takes everyone to transform a culture." Outside, the hotel's new sign glowed warmly against the night sky, a beacon of change in an industry long overdue for transformation.